This week we're going to be talking about vitamins. Vitamins are essential non-caloric organic nutrients needed in small amounts in the diet. So vitamins are one of the 6 classes of nutrients. We've already talked about carbohydrates, fat, and protein, and next week we'll be talking about minerals and water. So vitamins are one of the classes of nutrients. They're really important because they help the body's metabolic enzymes maximize the energy yield from our macronutrients. And remember, our macronutrients are carbohydrates, fat, and protein. And they also help to maintain the health of the body's cells, tissues, and organs. So they really play a major role in the health of the body. There are 2 classes of vitamins. We have our fat-soluble vitamins, which are vitamins A, D, E, and K. And then we have our water-soluble vitamins, which are made up of the B vitamins and vitamin C. And we'll be talking in more detail about each one of these vitamins throughout the video lectures this week. So this table, which is modified from table 7.2 in your book, gives a nice overview of the differences between fat-soluble vitamins and water-soluble vitamins. So I would encourage you to spend some time reviewing this table and looking at the differences in absorption, transport and storage, excretion, toxicity, and the requirements for each of these. So each vitamin within each of these classes has different needs, different requirements. The toxicity is different, but this is just a nice general overview of each of these classes in general. So I would definitely encourage you to review this table in more detail. Alright, let's jump in with the fat-soluble vitamins. So as a reminder, our fat-soluble vitamins are vitamins A, D, E, and K. These are found in fats and the oils of different foods. They require bile for absorption, and they're stored in the liver and fatty tissues until needed. So the big key about fat-soluble vitamins is that they are stored in the body, usually in the liver and fatty tissues. So because they're stored, they can reach toxic levels if they're consumed in excess or large amounts. But because they are stored in the body, stored in the liver or other fatty tissues, you don't necessarily need to consume them every day. So basically, over time, our intake will balance out that we have enough because in times of low intake, we can draw on some of those stores. So if you don't eat vitamin A today, but you eat it tomorrow, you're not likely to have a deficiency. So we don't have to consume it every day, but over time, our intake will balance out. Also because of this, fat-soluble vitamins, deficiencies are pretty uncommon, but they can occur when individuals consume extremely low-fat diets or people that habitually diet. They may have deficiencies. But again, because of that storage factor of fat-soluble vitamins, usually we don't see deficiencies. And they play many diverse roles in the body. So each of these fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, has various roles in the body, and we'll talk about these in more detail. So let's start with vitamin A. There are several forms of vitamin A. So you may have heard about beta-carotene. It's an orange pigment that you might see in carrots or pumpkins or peppers. And it's the plant-derived precursor for vitamin A. So it must be converted into vitamin A. Then we have retinol, which is our active form of vitamin A that's going to be stored in the liver. And then retinol will be converted to retinal and retinoic acid by different cells in the body for use. Alright, so vitamin A has quite a few roles. Probably the most common that you've heard about is its role in vision. So vitamin A definitely plays a major role in eyesight. It helps to process light perception. It keeps your cornea healthy. And it's also part of the rhodopsin molecule used in the vision process. So you can read more about that in your text. Vitamin A is also involved, along with vision, with night blindness. So night blindness is actually an early symptom of vitamin A deficiency. And it's characterized by a slow recovery of vision after exposure of flashes to bright light at night. So think about when you walk into a dark room and someone turns the light on real fast and you're like, whoa, that is somewhat night blindness. Now that's not to say that because you have that you will have a vitamin A deficiency, but that's what it would be like consistently if you did have that deficiency. Then we have xerophthalmia and blindness. So eventually vitamin A deficiency over long term can lead to blindness. So the cornea will start to get hard. That's related to the xerophthalmia, and then eventually you're going to become blind. So Eyesight, vision, may start to decrease with some vitamin A deficiency or inadequate intake, but over time it could lead to blindness. Next, vitamin A plays a role in gene regulation. It also plays a role in cell differentiation, so it's needed by the various epithelial tissues to divide and make new cells. So when there's a deficiency, your cells actually keratinize, so they get really hard, they might crack, and this is because they're not able to make new cells because of that inadequate vitamin A. So when you see that hardening, that could be a sign of a deficiency. Vitamin A also plays a role in immune function, as well as growth, especially it plays a role in the growth of bones and teeth. So this picture shows a nice overview of the deficiency across the world. So you can see in the United States and most of Asia, there's really not a lot of vitamin A deficiency going on. But in some of our more developing countries, there is a clinical deficiency of vitamin A. Approximately 5 million preschool children around the world are vitamin A deficient, and they may have some of those symptoms that we talked about. So night blindness, diarrhea, appetite loss, and then decreased food intake. So in the US and Canada, most of Asia, no vitamin A deficiency, pretty uncommon, but in our developing countries, it's still a major problem. On the other end, we can have vitamin A toxicity. Usually we don't get toxicity from consuming just our regular foods, but we could have vitamin A toxicity if we consume too many supplements or fortified foods. So if we focus on our regular foods, it's not likely that you're going to overconsume carrots and become and have a toxicity or reach that tolerable upper intake level for vitamin A. For individuals that may overconsume, some symptoms of vitamin A toxicity include nausea, vomiting, headache. Actually, high intake of supplements or chronic use of supplements during pregnancy could cause birth defects. There could also be liver abnormalities. So remember that vitamin A is going to be stored in the liver. So if we have too much consumption, it could cause some liver problems there. It can also cause hair loss and then rashes in the body. But again, vitamin A toxicity is not very common, but it could occur with supplement use. So for vitamin A recommendations, the DRI is based on body weight, and so the need really changes over time. So needs are increased during pregnancy and lactation, but children have lower needs for vitamin A. So for men, the recommendation, the DRI, is 900 micrograms per day, and for women, 700 micrograms per day. For exams and just in general, you do not need to know the specific DRIs for all of the vitamins and minerals, but it's just more FYI in these lectures. So I would know the functions of the vitamins, food sources, and symptoms of deficiency or toxicity. But you do not need to know specific numbers. The UL, as we talked about, is 3,000 micrograms per day for vitamin A. So if we reach that UL, that's when we may see some of those symptoms like birth defects, nausea, vomiting, headaches, those other symptoms on the previous slide. So as far as food sources go for vitamin A, orange fruits and vegetables are going to provide or be a great source of beta carotene. So think about all those different orange fruits and vegetables out there. Cantaloupe would be another example, pumpkin. Some dark, kind of dirty, green-looking vegetables also provide vitamin A. And then foods of animal origin. So remember where vitamin A is stored, the liver. So liver of animals is going to be a good source of vitamin A. And that is actually one of the few foods that you could basically overdose on for vitamin A because it provides so much. Fish oil, milk and milk products, butter, and eggs are also animal food sources of vitamin A. And then fortified foods can provide vitamin A in your daily diet as well. Overall, an eating pattern that includes the recommended intakes of fruits and vegetables is going to supply more than adequate amounts of vitamin A, so supplementation is usually not necessary unless you were deficient or maybe in one of those developing countries. So in general, you can get all the vitamin A that you need from a balanced, varied diet.